The iPhone 14 Pro Max is finally here. I can't believe this is it. It's really here today. It's new, it's improved, it has a dynamic island. So much to unpack here. Let's just take a look at it. We're going to start right away with the unboxing here, and you can see for the first time, we're highlighting the dynamic island here, really just forcing you to look at it. It jumps right out. And this isn't really typical because if you see the iPhone 10, for example, they were hiding that notch with the dark background. So this is Apple's stance this year. Here is the dynamic island. We want you to look at it. So this year I got the iPhone 14 Pro Max in silver. You can see it's a really small box here, as of course we're getting rid of that wall cube again. I'm so excited to get into this thing. Let's just jump right in. Classic Apple pull tabs here. I'm filming this whole thing right before work, so I'm trying to do this as quick as possible. And here is the silver, and wow, that is really, really bright. To put it in perspective here, I'm coming from the iPhone 13 Pro Max, and that's the blue, and just look at the difference between these two phones. And it's silver, so you can see the difference there, both very shiny, but of course this one's just way brighter. In the box, you're getting the lightning cable, which is USB-C on the end, and then of course you're getting your SIM tool and your warranty information and one Apple sticker. Now let's take a look at the phone itself. It actually feels almost a little bit heavier. I'll look at the specs and see if that is actually any different at all. But those cameras are just massive. If you take a look at the difference here, they're really popping out a lot more. Everything else around the sides of the phone exactly the same as the iPhone 13 Pro Max. Now let's take a look at that display. And that is the cleanest it's ever going to be. In terms of the specs on this thing, you're getting a 6.7-inch display that's always on, the new dynamic island, a 48 megapixel main camera with an additional ultra-wide and telephoto lens, 29 hours of battery life, that's one additional hour, ceramic shield glass on the front, slightly higher resolution display at 460 ppi, an outdoor brightness of 2000 nits, double what was on the previous iPhone, and a helpful breakdown of everything new if you are upgrading from that 13 Pro Max. You're getting the always-on display, the dynamic island, action mode when you're recording, 1 hour of battery life, and doubled outdoor brightness. So all in all, it's probably not an upgrade that you need from the 13 Pro Max, as this is still an incredible iPhone and there's really nothing wrong with it, but that's not to say that you won't enjoy it. So the interesting thing is, it is actually like the renderings where it's two separate islands, one for the camera and one for everything else. I don't know if you can see all of that on camera. But when the screen's on, it's actually going to black that out to make it look like one single dynamic island. And there it is, you can see the hello, and that massive dynamic island that turns completely black, so even though there is a space in between, you'd never really know. Can it do anything when you're setting up? No, can't do anything. And the one thing I really wanted to know here was the screen size around here. They said it got a lot narrower. I don't know if that's actually true. We see a difference here. Oh yeah, it is actually a little narrower. I think people who notice this are going to be really excited about it. That small difference between the screen size and those smaller bezels are really going to make it a lot nicer looking. I'm going to set this thing up so we can take a closer look. Now for setup, they are giving you an easy way that you can actually transfer your cellular. In this case, I'm in Canada, so we're still going to use the traditional SIM. Obviously, the headline feature we want to see here is Dynamic Island. You can see on the home screen it does react when you touch it. It provides haptic feedback as well, which is really nice. But there's a couple different ways that it works. One solid bar, an expanded bar, and it splits into two for multiple widgets. At launch, it only works with specific Apple apps, but as we move to iOS 16.1 later on this year, it'll have third-party integrations. If something isn't built to work with dynamic island support, it still minimizes into it, which I think is still a really cool animation. But if it does, you'll see real info showing here. It's like they've consolidated all the pop-ups that we used to have into one uniform place, which I think just makes a lot more sense, and it's like they're finally refining the notification system. Press and hold to expand dynamic island and view details, tap it to return to the app. Some people really think that that control should be reversed. I actually think it's something that is more intuitive this way than any other version. Now the glaring feedback here is that it's actually two separate areas, and you can see that in some certain lighting, it is separate areas. Apple's basically using some software to black out this area in between. And despite that criticism, it works really, really well. The other big new feature is the always-on display here. It's not traditional where the whole screen goes black. It just gets a little more dim. You still see your wallpaper actually zoom out. Widgets also go darker. The lock permanently shows up there as well in the dynamic island. And then when you wake it up, everything sort of rises. It feels really intuitive no matter how many times I do this. The one thing I've heard is that the battery life is actually a little bit worse on this versus the iPhone 13 Pro Max. I'm excited to test it out and see if that's actually true. And all of that, of course, is going to be covered in my review in a couple weeks. And oh, right, of course, accessories. Rewind. So this is Nomad's brand new iPhone 14 case lineup. I'm so excited. They actually shipped before the phone. I have no idea how they're so quick at shipping, but they are. So that's going to start with their brand new sport case, their modern leather case, another color of their modern leather case, their rugged case, and then of course, their modern leather folio. Now, a cool thing about Nomad is even their barcode. This is the attention to detail they actually have to make it this really interesting barcode instead of just the typical. That's the kind of thought that extends throughout their whole cases, so really excited to look at all of these. So starting with the modern leather folio. So this year, they're actually going to be including this removable magnetic clasp, and here it is itself. It has this felt lining, the MagSafe you can see built in there, so this is still going to work with MagSafe even though it is a folio. The rugged sleep wake button, camera bump for added protection, real genuine leather. The hinge is the part with all of these cases that tend to fall apart, but with Nomad, you can see it's actually very reinforced. I've been using these for years. Not a single one has actually ripped along this seam. So if you're looking for something that's going to be protected and not get weathered over time, Nomad's the way to go. The thing that will get weathered, of course, is that leather finish, but that's kind of the look you're going for if you're going with leather anyway. In fact, you can actually see on the back of their case, they show you what it's going to look like day 1 and then day 100. Now, seeing this on the phone, it just snaps into place. And I love that contrast. This is why I got the white, because you can actually see a huge contrast in the camera bump no matter which option that you choose out of all of these. Then we've got this removable clasp. I don't know if you guys can see it here. There's a little spot there that this is going to slide through. So you're actually going to slide it through here, and now it actually becomes a part of this. So you can close it, magnetic clamp. Kind of a cool idea, and I love the fact that it's removable. I don't typically use these, but I think a lot of people are going to find a lot of value in that, especially once you're holding your cards and maybe some cash in there. You might just want to make sure that it's more secure. So next up, we're going to go with the sport case. A lot of the same things you know and love from Nomad, from that rugged finish on the end and a new metal button, which I'm excited to see. I think this is a really unique color. It kind of reminds me of the flat paint that everything is going for on new cars these days. You can see you've got the metal buttons here. Again, that soft finish, so it's going to protect your phone. The rugged sides, but it's indented here, which is kind of a nice feel. It just clips into place. And again, here you can see that camera bump that really just pops here, but it's protected with this bumper. This one definitely feels extremely rugged, and this feels like a really polished back here as well. You can see it's very glossy as well. Next up, we've got the rugged case. This one is going to be a lot bulkier than the other one, which you can see here. But the interesting thing about this one is it actually has a much more raised edge here, so you're really protecting that screen. It is bulkier, so it just feels more rugged. You can see how much thicker that is in comparison to the other one. You've got, again, that really rugged button, so you'll know exactly where that is, even if you're wearing gloves. We've got raised edges around here, so it's not really going to get damaged even if you did drop this thing. A really sharp color here, again, contrasting with that camera. And then 2 more buttons here. These ones don't have the same grip like this one does, which you can see etched into the side, but overall, really high quality. If you're going rugged, this feels like a really good option. Next up, we've got the modern leather case. Again, with that soft finish. We've got the buttons on the side here. This one really does pop out. It's a really nice leather finish, gripped button here so that you can feel exactly where that is. It again is going to look weathered over time, and they show you that on the back of the case. We've got our buttons here, a bit of a raised edge, so again, that's going to be protected. A small cutout for the speaker, which is going to make a big difference. And last up, we've got the modern leather case in black. And here it is. I'm really excited to see the difference of this one with that polarizing white. So that's a really sharp look here, obviously standing out a lot. It's exactly the same as the last case, just simply in black. Okay, so that's everything for the iPhone 14 Pro Max. I'm really excited about this one. There's a bunch of different coverage that I'm going to be doing on the channel as well, including iOS 16 coverage, using this thing, how it holds up over time, a full review of the iPhone in the next month, the Apple Watch unboxing and a full review coming soon. That's coming later today. iPadOS coming in the next month. There's just so much. So if you want to follow along, be sure to hit subscribe. Be sure to hit that like button. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.